an Englishman, an Irishman, and a Jamaican. No joke. Why was 6 afraid of 7? No jokes. A horse walks into a bar. No jokes. Knock. Who's there? Hashtag who? Hashtag no jokes.
But I don't want to do it like Robert G's one, because Robert G's one was really, really bad. So I'm going to do my own one. Get your t-shirt. Support the cause. No joke. Hashtag wicked.
Who are you giving money to out of your winnings?
See this charity thing? There would be some charities, maybe abroad, but I'd definitely buy in Africa. I want a house in Rwanda, a house in Gambia, and a health retreat. And then, there comes the nieces and whoever else. Those kind of stuff.
You lot are just disgusting.
Than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better.
If you won the lottery, what would you do with the lottery, man?
Well, my darling.
Bye-bye. Thanks very much.
Tell us.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Lisa.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime
At the beginning of this, they were telling us that we're going to be about 40,000 people who are going to die. They predicted that. They knew what incompetence will allow to happen, and it happened.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say. From the 3 best comedians in the UK, they've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw, bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag
no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Sicker than your average podcast.
Sicker than your average podcast. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find
Got a couple charities called My Brother Stephen, My Brother Gavin. I would have to get something, right?
Of course.
Then I think, Mrs. Nestor, the boss, would decide what we did with the rest of the money. Because I wouldn't be able to decide it on my own, would I? But if I were on my own, I'm going to live life. I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to get 30 of my brethren, and we're going to go and have a pie.
Yeah. You're going to buy more brethren?
You ain't got 30 brethren. Sicker than your average podcast. Try to reach your levels, but this one is top class. Eddie Nestor, I told you he's the best. Angie Lamar, they'll go far cause she's a superstar. And Curtis, he's worshipped a wordsmith. When it comes to real talk, they're all my first pick. You heard it. They're so good together, whatever the weather. I dare you to find someone better. I bet that you could never. Facebook and YouTube, they're coming through. Weekly topics on the news, Sundays 1 to 2, and you can chime in if you've got something to say. From the 3 best comedians in the UK, they've all got knowledge by the boatload. They shake it up and make it nice like a snow globe. Not in your postcode, they still feel a stone's throw, bringing us together. Hashtag no jokes.
Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes. Hashtag no jokes.
Greetings. Good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us again on hashtag no joke, the Lace team. I called it the Ace team and got myself in trouble because I didn't include the boss in that. So hopefully you are okay and everything is all right in your world. There is an awful lot to talk about today. You just saw those flags from Alison Bajakin. She's been a fabulous contributor to this series of No Joke. This is episode 4 of 6. Then we take a break. So let me just say thank you for all those people who have helped us with the GoFundMe page. Really fantastic. So we arrived at a limit so that Curtis can feed his dog, because it isn't about money. It's about just facilitating a need. And we'll be talking about that today. A cop killed in Croydon. We've got further restrictions. We got Sir Trevor saying he's leaving his wife of 34 years because he wants to focus on work. We've got the closure of Elephant and Castle Market. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm not forgetting about Brianna. So let's get to it, shall we? Oh, before I do that, thanks. All those people wearing the T-shirts. Oh, absolutely. Look, I got my one that's going to get me sacked today because apparently we're not allowed to do it. So I decided to wear it because I'm like that, I'm afraid. So let's start with Angie Lamar, the First Lady of British comedy. Hey, finally!
Hey!
Finally!
Finally!
Look at you! Look at you! Can you lift your chest? Can you just like this? Do this.
I can do this.
No, I don't want you to do that.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Where's Eddie? Where's Eddie?
Stop
Eddie,
your nonsense.
how do you cut down white and come up black? Hallelujah. Jesus. You cut down white and you come up black.
Stop your foolishness
You
already.
cut down white.
Can we
and
have
you come up
Curtis
black.
Walker, please? You're in that mood today.
Yeah.
Afternoon.
Curtis.
Afternoon. Never seen T-shirt, Ange? Oh, yeah. Work it, girl. Nice.
We don't know where Eddie is. Eddie's gone.
Oh, stop it.
Cut down
So,
white.
yeah, what happened, Eddie? What made you decide to dye the beard after all this time?
Paint.
Well, I've got the two things, I could get a T-shirt saying, let Angie talk. And Eddie, have you got Curtis's number? Because apparently, since we started to do this, Curtis, you've become very attractive indeed. What do you think? What do you think that's about, Angie? Clearly,
Well, hang on a minute. I asked the question. What made you decide to dye your beard?
Because I want to look like you.
Okay.
I
You
had
said bring
friends.
it up, man. I thought I was following you.
I had friends talking
You look
about
young again,
Curtis.
Eddie. You look so young. You look about, I don't know, 81.
Curtis, can you let Angie talk, please?
You do you know what I mean?
Again?
And we start already? People calling me going, Curtis is looking really well. Curtis is looking fine. And I'm like, okay. Like someone saying your brother's good looking. Ugh.
So look, I bought in the whistle today.
Oh,
There's a lot to get through. Every time I put in an order, Angie's going, and what about?
Right.
It's a 2-hour show. Condensed to 1 hour. Look,
I want to thank everybody on the GoFundMe.
Thank you.
It's true.
How's that going, Eddie? I think they reached the target.
Yeah, they've got to the target. I'm just saying that.
Last week.
God bless you. Don't actually have to eat the dog. You can feed it now, Curtis.
When, Eddie? When can I feed it?
I'm gonna be like one of them. What we're gonna do is just wait for everything to come in, Curtis.
Yeah.
What we've
30
seen-
days. 30 days.
Eddie, got to clear.
It does sound like that.
Send an invoice.
So, look, let's start with. I mean, this one's a tough one, really, because we've talked a lot about the police and we've talked a lot about them really in the negative. So let's start by talking about this story from Croydon. In the early hours at a custody suite, a sergeant who was near 30 years of service. Now, if you don't know anything about police, at 30 years, they can retire.
Yeah.
I have been struck by the people that I know, I trust and I respect who have been absolutely knocked out. He was a good man. He'd done a lot in the community, but there is something about this story So let's get to it. Let me start this time with you, Curtis. I'm just wondering if it's me. Sometimes when you do the job that I do, you become incredibly cynical. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, well, it can't, is it, were you doing it? Were you think everybody was doing it?
As terrible, it's always as terrible as news might be. Sadly, I want to know what culture the assailant was, where they came from. And people would tweet at hashtag, oh, if they would have been locked up, had it been a black person, they would have been in cuffs or cuffed up. But sad, and it appears that this guy was a real, genuinely good person, which, you know, compounds it even more. It's always good that kind of it goes bad for them. And I just want the community and everybody who's been up to the police station, which I've visited myself many times, in Norbury, up in Croydon area, and distributing flowers and giving flowers out. And that outpouring from the community is beautiful to see. I don't know. I don't understand how you can get into a police station with a firearm on you. That's going to have to be investigated and find out where it went wrong. And to the family, obviously, our condolences, and it reach out to the community, because he was doing stuff, genuinely doing the policing in an old school way, where you were kind of engaging with the community around you and getting to know kids. And he was a rugby fan, and sports is always a good way to get through to young people. And he took that time and did that all of his own volition, you know, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Matt Ratana, I should have said his name, please excuse me.
So most Kiwis I know are very genuinely world-viewed people, because it's such a multicultural country that, you know, they see people first, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, Angie, let me bring you in here, because he was handcuffed. I mean, I tell you what I did. I looked at I don't know if you saw it. There was a Wakanda queen that was in all the pictures, and I was like, who is that black woman? And I asked them at work to find out who she was. She's somebody called Donna Murray Turner, and she works with the police. She works with the local community, and she apparently works as a link between and an advocate. There's something that happens, Angie, for me when I hear this is the first cop that's been shot and killed in 25 years. It says something about what happens, because you know there will be a reaction, right?
Yeah, I think, you know, condolences to Sergeant Matt's family, and, you know, the friends that speak highly of him, and the community leaders that have come out and said he was a good one, even though a bad one doesn't deserve to die. It's the fact that somebody was deliberately out there progressively in the community with 2 weeks, I think it is, to his retirement. So it just really compounds how difficult this is. And there will be a backlash, because right now we're in a time where we are looking at the police, we are looking at protests, we are looking at racism in the police force. We are looking at so many things right now. And this is just one of those things that's going to make us look at it differently. There's going to be talk of tasers, everybody being armed, all police being armed with tasers or being armed with firearms. And those things come very quickly to the forefront when it comes to something like this that has happened. And it's the first time in 25 years, you say. So for me, it's a really difficult time to work out what is really going on in the community, and also to find out exactly what the police are doing, why someone like him wasn't really used as an example for the great work that he was doing. You know, why wasn't he the blueprint to what was working and going so well in a climate where we don't trust the police? Here's one policeman that everybody was saying he was a good one. Why isn't there more police like him? Like we talk about teachers, we need more people to understand what it is he did as well.
I think
that a lot of it is about age as well, because you've got to look at that guy who's close to retirement. He's a senior police officer. And, you know, I think they're so caught up in trying to attract people to the police force, they tend to put the younger police officers forward who don't have that kind of worldly experience of dealing with different cultures, different people. And I think that is the police really letting themselves down. They should celebrate the older officers, because every time I've been encountered or been in an encounter with the police, the older one is always the one you end up gravitating to plead your case or to have a conversation with. because they have this attitude. They're not as scared of you. They're not as threatened by you because they've dealt with people like you.
There is a story, Curtis, about when the coppers start looking young. That's apparently when we start getting old. But I will just tell you not to. And by the way, I think that both of you have answered those questions with incredible class. I must say that, as not being patronising, but you know, well, let me tell you why. Is it because when we talk, as we have on this podcast, about police in the way that we have, then there are a lot of kids, there are a lot of people who have been inconvenienced by some rubbish behavior. And for us to look at this guy and to treat him like a human being and to treat the people the way that we want them to treat us is classy. And that's why I felt I needed to say it. Look, I'm going to try and reach out to Donna. She sounds like the person either on the pod or on the show that we need to big her up as well. But the final,
Angie would like to know where she got her earrings. I don't know if you saw her earrings. Big maps of cutouts of Africa.
That's what I said. She was Wakanda. She didn't even love them. She was proper Wakanda, and I love that. Look, let's move on. Just finally on that, to tell you that the police press department is rubbish, whether it be good or bad news. And I've been to New Scotland Yard and told them that, and they got themselves all upset. You know, if a police officer delivers a baby in the back of a car, or a police officer, get that story out there as well. So you are letting us know that people are doing good things. Anyway, that's another one. Gotta move on. So a story that we're more familiar with. Let's go to this one. First of all, let me just take full responsibility. I apologize for us not doing this story before. It was me. Just like when the guy got shot 7 times, there is an absolute limit, but we can't resist this story. This woman's name is Breonna. You will have heard about it. It is causing a lot of problems. A grand jury have returned a verdict. The verdict is that an officer is going to be charged for missing her and shooting the wall as opposed to the 8 bullets that hit her. It's a complicated story. So let's see if we can articulate a little bit of the response. Take a listen to this.
A lot of the protesters see it as a continuing sign of the devaluation of black bodies and especially of black women, and the fact that they say the neighbors, the white neighbors of Breonna Taylor and the buildings got more justice than Breonna Taylor did, that the officer was not charged with killing Breonna Taylor, but for endangering the lives of the people that lived around her. And in fact, the Kentucky Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, said that the use of force was justified by the 2 other officers because it was in self-defense. And so the people who've been hitting the streets in New York, in LA, here in Washington, and around the nation still feel that justice was not served in this case, and they will be on the streets until Breonna Taylor, who's become quite famous because her name has been on the cover of magazines, celebrities have been talking about her, and the fact that still a name that they have to say at protests speaks to how America treats its black community.
So 8 times she was shot in her bed. They were looking for her boyfriend, who was already in custody. It's a no warrant search. They say they did announce their arrival. All the neighbors say they did not. It's causing, I remember Rodney King and this type of thing. Angie, let me start with you. I mean, it is a story that sadly is more common with the stories that we talk about in relation to the police, but one that's really, really messy. Apparently 7 women in the last 15 years shot, and 6 of them in their own homes. Wow. What's going on in here, Angie?
Well, it's clear, really, and I think that what has been great about this case and Breonna Taylor's protest and the way people have been making sure that we didn't forget her, and also making sure that as a black woman that she is getting the press and the response that she deserves. Because you know what, when it comes to our community, especially in America as well, it seems like it's okay to do what you want. And in this year and this last year and a half, there's been a climate of change and protest. So here we have a woman who they wanted a warrant for her arrest. They said there was a warrant for her. They said that they were looking for the ex-partner. You know, they said that when they came through that they thought intruders were coming through. That's why the boyfriend shot whoever they thought it was. Now, 8 times to shoot somebody. What I don't understand is where the training is coming from. Why have we got so many fearful police that are so scared that every time they go to do something, they don't do what they were trained with if they were trained, because it just seems like there's this fear in reaction.
Well, let me ask you, Angie, do you think it is a fear or a wanton disregard for the value of life?
Oh, they know when they're going in, who they're going in for. So that's already coupled with the fact that we can do what we want. So if we're going to bang down the door and we know that there's a white woman in there and there's a white guy in there, we're going to go in with a little precaution. This we know for sure. We've seen how they arrest white people in America. We've seen the caution that they take and how they treat black people. So if they know they were looking for, they were monitoring her for a very long time. They were watching her, filming her, recording her. So this was an investigation. So at any time they could have actually found her and got her. They wait till the middle of the night. They know that they're not arresting her. They're looking for her ex-partner. So already you know as you walk into her home that you're not actually looking for her. You want to arrest her for other things connected to her. So that's why I think that people won't let this go, because it isn't about self-defense or fear, because they can shoot on fear and say we were at risk, so we wanted to defend ourselves. I don't believe they were at risk, and I think they could have done this a different way. Again, they could have done this a different way. And I'm fed up with people saying, don't use protest, don't use your platform to protest this. When you see Oprah give up her front cover and say, we are not letting this go. We are going to stand and carry this name until you do something about it. Then to come with this result, I don't think it's over.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember Rodney King, and certainly the beating they gave him, and then it was free, and then it was like burn down Babylon, and it doesn't play out very well. But I don't know, when people are hopeless, Curtis, they will do extraordinary things, and now here we are with protests. I'm going to let you speak, Curtis, but I just want to let you heard the name Daniel Cameron there. He's the Attorney General, the young black guy who they are absolutely, I mean, Black Twitter's absolutely crucifying him and talking about him in the way that the people who sold African generals and scientists to Europeans, they're talking about him in those terms. But I was going to play him, but I thought it better to play an interpretation, Curtis, of what he said. Fun enough, an interpretation by the Governor General, the most powerful man on planet Earth, the Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump. Take a listen to this.
Really brilliant Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron is doing a fantastic job. I think he's a star. And he made a statement that I'll just read. Justice is not often easy. It does not fit the mold of public opinion, and it does not conform to shifting standards. It answers only to the facts and to the law. If we simply act on emotion or outrage, there's no justice. Mob justice is not justice. Justice sought by violence is not justice. It just becomes revenge. I mean, I heard that. I said, write that down for me, please, because I think it was a terrific statement. He's handling it very well. You know who he is.
So, Kurt, the bit about that, the reason I've played that for you is that the bit of it that struck me was justice doesn't respond to changing times, which would mean that women wouldn't be allowed to vote, that you would still be a slave, that, you know, it does respond to changing times. It must do. That's why the American Constitution is full of amendments, because as we know better, we do better.
That's the theory. You would think that as we learn, we grow, we get more knowledge, things have to change. But the statement is made there is just saying we're going to keep it as it is because we have the economic power right now, so we don't want to change anything. We can walk into people's houses, shoot them dead. We can do that. But as soon as the tables turn and it happens to somebody of a different color, then you'll see things happen and things changing. It's really sad. And what they've done is compound it. It's this story of all our lives. You get insulted, you know, and we're told turn the other cheek. We're told that leave it to the system, leave it to the justice system. And when the justice system continually turns around and kicks you in your private area every single time, and we're supposed to just let that go, it's just what it is. And this is why, and I'm going to say young people have so much distrust, because what are they seeing? We've been through a lot of it in this country, in England. I know America is so different, but we're going there, aren't we, in regards of our political system and our awakening of us as a people, rather than about the color of us, as people. We see injustice
as humans.
Now. As humans. Sometimes we would ignore injustice and say, oh, that's happening to them. Every time you walk past somebody homeless, you've got a house, there's an ear that we used to have. Now we actually feel each other's pain. And I think, we'll get onto lockdown, but a lot of that has come out of that experience where we're all kind of on the set, those sane ones amongst us, those who live in the real world, they're not the 1%.
Yeah.
Really have a certain compassion for each other now. You've got a justice system that is supposed to be there for you. It's supposed to be helping the weaker person, the financially, you haven't got all the wealth in the world. You're just a person looking at the justice system. You've got to be on my side a little bit. And they tell you you're nothing. Your life was worth nothing. We're not even going to prosecute that police officer because, let me tell you, if they had shot a dog, somebody would be being prosecuted right now. If they had shot a dog, somebody being prosecuted.
Well, the wall that they shot in that case, they're taking into consideration the wall. Now, the thing that we're seeing now, and we're going to see a lot more protest, we're going to see a lot more upheaval, we're going to see a lot of things that we're going to be blown away by. You think this year is over? People are waking up. People say all lives matter. We already knew all lives matter, but because our lives didn't matter to the majority, we decided to pinpoint Black Lives Matter.
And still don't matter, Angie. Even in the midst of all of this, they can do it. In the midst of all of this.
But we are fighting a different war now. We are fighting a war of awareness. We are fighting a war that says we're not letting up this time. And if Babylon is going to burn, Babylon is going to burn. Now, I'm not saying burn Babylon. I'm just saying people are saying, well, if there's
a consequence.
You can't have it too. And that's been a long time coming. Let's look at the way the government is running things right now. We're seeing roads right now. I mean, we're driving.
We're going to get to England. No, I promise you. It's next, Angie. I know where you're going with the low traffic neighbourhoods and the UK government and their response to COVID. I promise you we're coming in. Let me, ahead of bringing on the boss, let me just say it is important to us. This COVID thing is our father. It's the responsible for us three coming together. We've known each other a long time, but I've never spent as much time with these guys. I, like you, am finding out things about them too. It is really important to us that you continue to make your comments, that you continue to have these conversations, put them in there, we'll get them read out, and to say thank you to the hundreds of Angie's friends who send me the stories that we should definitely, you must talk about this, Eddie. Here, please keep that on, because that
wonderful friends. Wonderful friends.
Let's get the boss on, shall we? Boss lady.
Lisa.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Ace team.
Oh, wow.
Are you wrapped up?
I've got my scarf on because Eddie won't allow me to have the heating on. So I'm
well done, Eddie.
The heating doesn't go on till when the clocks go back. Andrew, you haven't got heating on, have you?
I've got it on my phone app, right? So when my husband wakes up and says, "Is the heater on?" I go, Get it on your app.
Yeah, please take that stuff.
Sorry,
boss lady.
But it is cold. We need to talk about the heating.
Maybe you should put it. Look. Curtis, we've created a monster here. What's going on? What's going on, boss lady?
Good afternoon, listeners. Thank you for your comments. Hope you're having a lovely day. Keep them coming in. Very interesting. With regard to the cop that was killed in the cell, Patricia Wilmington said, "Such sad news. May he rest in peace." Kim says something is not adding up. And D Minnie says, unfortunately, the police didn't do their job properly. They failed to search the person. So that's not on the general public. It's an unfortunate incident. With regards to the killing of Breonna Taylor, Anika says, imagine a wall is entitled to justice more than us. It's disgraceful. Pat says, absolutely outrageous. Breonna Taylor, RIP. Venetia says, thank goodness our police here are not armed. And Amanda Ojo says, Daniel Cameron is a sellout. I hope his ancestors deal with him swiftly. I just want to say, keep the comments coming in. Don't forget to like, hashtag and share. Also, post your questions for the ACE team, Angie, Curtis and Eddie. Anything related to the show, make sure you put a love heart there so I can put the find the questions quickly. And big up to Bajakan Blessings, our donor for today. She does designer flags. Take care. I'll see you in 20 minutes, guys. Keep your comments coming in. Thank you.
Who said something doesn't add up? What was her name? Do you remember? The conspiracy theorist. Something doesn't add up. It sounds like a line in a movie.
That's Kim Mahoney. Something
Kim
doesn't add up.
Mahoney.
That's with regards to the
doesn't
killing.
add up. All right, Kim.
Go wrap up now, Lisa. Wrap up warm.
You need to go and put on clothes. That's what you need to do. You're running out the house without clothes and telling me it's cold. No, sir. Curtis, is the heating on in your house?
Not yet, Eddie. Sorry about my nipples if they're a bit high and they're a bit cold. But it's nothing going on.
Too much.
Sorry.
Too much.
Sorry.
Okay, so look, last week we did COVID. We talked about COVID, and I got to tell you two are like sages. When I look back at what we're going to try and cut into little pieces, what you both said was absolutely true and came to pass. Exactly almost a day before 6 months, 23rd of March it was, and I think 22nd of September, Prime Minister came forward and announced what we already knew, that there would be a whole set of measures designed to keep us safe, to stop us from doing all sorts of things. He compounded that rule of 6, and pubs will close at 10 o'clock because that's clearly when COVID stops doing its business. So, so before we go and do exactly what we did last week, let me come to you, Angie. Are you getting a sense that we're losing control, that something's happening that we don't know about? Because you were about to go into those low traffic neighborhoods, and certainly when you come and see that giant plant put outside your house, you do feel as though something's happening.
Yes, I think that the thing about control is definitely going on. There's a master plan going on, I believe. And I think that when the COVID started off, it could have been taken care of. But I think once you worked out how you could have control, how you can keep a country under lock and do what you have to do, it's a great time for a second wave to come back. I think also as well that a lot of governments are having their their plans going through Parliament, where we're not having a discussion because there is a distraction. You know, when you're driving down the road and you're seeing all these roads blocked off, and it's a particular type of road, that is blocked off, where you think, oh, you really have been doing this gentrification stuff from a long time. And you had a plan for it, because now you're doing things that are just not sensible. All these bike lanes, I was watching driving down this road, and I saw all these bike lanes coming up and thought, wait a minute, when did this all start happening? When did we see all these plans starting to take place? And that's why I think at 10 o'clock, the virus says, listen, hurry up, we've got 11 o'clock, we've got to start coming out and killing people. Let's get in before 10. It's really about how to manage this virus now. If it's going to be here, we need to manage how we do it and how we live with it, as opposed to go away, stay in your home, we've got it under control, because you haven't got it under control. And that's the worry that I have, is that other things are happening whilst we're worried about this thing, and we're being distracted while they implement things into government, that when we come to see that this has happened, we have no say. And I think we're living in a dangerous time with this government is so bad. Every time I see them speak, I think, you idiots, you fools, you chat rubbish. I can't stand you. You make me sick.
Say what you think, Ange.
Yeah,
don't hold back.
Because it's their incompetence that is really disturbing the country and messing up the country, and allowing people to hate each other.
I want everybody to see or take a glimpse of. Here is the Prime Minister as he addressed the nation.
Idiot.
Must do all we can to avoid going down that road again. But if people don't follow the rules we've set out, then we must reserve the right to go further. Things will be far better by the spring, when we have not only the hope of a vaccine, but one day soon, and I must stress that we're not there yet, of mass testing so efficient that people will be able to be tested in minutes so they can do more of the things they love. That's the hope. That's the dream.
wicked, they're wicked, they're wicked. We said they're wicked, they're wicked.
You wicked.
Hope came out.
Can we dance now?
Hope came out a lot, didn't it? No, you're not allowed to sing. My mum was watching my mum's watching a church service downstairs, and the first thing the priest says is, "We don't want you to sing." You imagine going to church and not singing? Anyway, Curtis, sorry. Did he look like somebody who was in control to you?
I have to really lay my cards on the table. I've never liked that guy. I don't know how you lot are voting him in every time. He's always been a buffoon. And, you know, you're the smartest dumb person I know. He's always been that guy. So I would never, if he told me to look left, I'm looking right. Because I don't trust him at all or his ilk. Okay, let me just say that first of all. Now, then you're putting it on the community, the society. If you don't do what we're told, we're going to lose control of this thing. They never had control of it.
Yeah.
And what it is, as individuals, as human beings, we have to take responsibility for our loved ones, ourselves, and our communities. And we've always had to do that. If you are, you know, because it's impossible right now for us to know what to believe. So we're going to look at ourselves. How can we get healthier? How can we keep our family healthier?
Right. Absolutely.
The mixed messages that have been coming out since the beginning of this thing, you know, were absolutely, we are being mismanaged. And if you have sense in your head, look about your people. If you've got somebody in your family you don't think is taking it serious, because they don't have a word with them, have a conversation with them.
Here's where I want to start.
Because if you don't believe it's out there, you worry me. I'm going to be honest, because it's real, it's here. How we deal with it is how we deal with each other. All right? And about the 10 o'clock, I just start drinking at 10. So 10 o'clock, it don't make no...
You start earlier. Just shut up. You start earlier.
No, I'm just warming up, babe.
Curtis,
10 o'clock, that's when the party starts.
Curtis.
Yeah.
You just asked the boss to tell you the name of somebody, right? Now, I'm getting in all the mafia groups, 5G, World Order, I'm getting everything, yes? So it seems to me that as a group of people, there's a higher percentage of black people who don't accept that there is a virus, who think that there is a conspiracy. And there's a higher percentage of black people that's dying from the virus. Is that a coincidence, guys?
I think if you've got those deniers of COVID, they worry me. I've said that. If from the beginning, there's been people going on social media, I'm not real, this is not real thing, yeah. I'm some bogus thing, and yet we're dying. We as a community have to take this thing serious. We just have to. Also, not saying for the government, and you look about you and your family. And if you've got a denier in your family, pull them aside.
I think also,
but you've got to communicate to them and get across to them that it's us that's dying from it.
Okay.
Yes?
To remember as well, the virus itself, when it was dealt with in the hospitals, was dealt with incompetence because they didn't understand what it was. Yeah. If it was this country, you could say it's only happening here, but it's happening across the world. So there's no coincidence that that's happening. The fact of the matter is, when you go into the hospital, all the ventilators, all the machines that they were using them incorrectly. Yeah. We were tested. When a black person comes, we're going to look at how people see us when we arrive, because when we arrive, we don't have the importance. We are put over there and dealt with in a different way. And we don't seem to be the community that you save.
But it was even the healthcare workers, Angie.
Yes, it was the healthcare workers, but the way they were handling it, the way they were putting people to die. I lost 2 people who went into hospital, walked in and never came out again because of the fact that they were told, because you got underlined, we were fed this information that the black community suffer like this.
Yeah, lots of underlying help.
People got to stop telling us that we suffer a different way or we don't feel pain in the same way. This is the problem of how you treat us. Yeah. And that's why we don't get the right medical. So what we have to tell our families and our friends, look after yourself so that we're not at the hands of people who don't know how to look after us. So do cover up, do look after, take your vitamin D. And honestly, when you see there's sun outside, go and stand in the sun, even if it's your garden.
For 5 minutes.
Look after yourself. These are the things
or even follow the boss lady when she's doing her nutritional food. Because the boss lady is doing some kind of regime, boy, and if you can stick with it, not even all of it, but I'm dipping. Eddie, don't laugh, man, because you saw me trying a thing, man. I'm waiting for Andy.
I was proud of you.
Right, I'm waiting for Andy to start his Keep Fit regime again, and then I'm on it again.
Yeah, I think that, Angie, I think there is a part of this that I'd like to talk about, which is the mental side of it. I think you're absolutely right. I think vitamin D for Black people is the most underrated thing. There are so many ailments that we have. I think that's down to a lack of sunshine. But that's just, I'm not a doctor, but that's just my personal experience that tells me that. But I think in terms of just, you walk the dog. I know you do that. You talk to us here. I think we all, and anybody watching knows it's therapy, and hopefully people are getting therapy from it as well. But for me now, this new lockdown, because for me, the big thing, Angie, was when he said 6 months. I was like, right, that's Christmas gone. That's through, that's March.
He said spring.
When he said 6 months, I was like, I was watching it like, and then all of a sudden I was like, so how do you stay focused on protecting yourself against an invisible thing that some people don't recognize when you don't know how long it's going to last? How do you stay mentally upbeat, Angie?
Well, the wonderful thing about this whole lockdown that has shown us is that we have decided that we have learned a lot from lockdown. Now it's the time to put into practice what we've learned from lockdown and to understand, guess what? This is the way it's going to be for a very long time. We're not going back to normal. We are talking about how we're resetting ourselves as human beings. This weekend, I was on a retreat on Zoom. Jackie Michaels did a self-care retreat where we came together, we spoke as women, we did massages together, we learned how to breathe and meditate and pray. Now that's something that we wouldn't do. You can laugh, but honestly,
no, it sounds fantastic. I'm just like,
yeah.
I just want to ask a question.
If I'm going down, you're coming down with me, Curtis.
Because
Can I pose a question, Angie?
Go ahead.
How do you massage on Zoom?
You can massage your face and you can massage your body. Somebody's telling you how to do it and how to touch the points in your body and how to make sure you really look after yourself and how to meditate.
Because every time I finish this show, I do this.
Yeah, that's because we've just been speaking to Eddie.
And I do a mantra. Jesus God in heaven, Jesus God. And it helps me.
Yeah. But luckily, love, I pray for you guys anyway, so we're good. So really, all I'm saying really is the resetting of the mindset. There's no point hurrying up yourself to say, when is this going to be over? It's about saying, how am I going to stay in this zone and manage it? They haven't locked us out of the world. We can find times to do things. Maybe we have to leave a restaurant at 10. Go at 6. Manage your time in a different place whereby you don't feel it's not how it used to be. You got to reset. You got to meditate. You got to pray.
I'm doing that. I use my tea bags twice now.
No, that's not. Angie, you can see his defense though. At certain times in these last 18 weeks, we got to him and he phones me and cuss me. That's not why he's coming on here. If I do it like that again, he ain't doing it next week. He just wants to be a fool like that. Can you see him?
Oh, so that's what he's doing. I'm the one out there going, this is a really good time for us to come together. And he's the one going, but I'll come back next week.
Ange, if I'm honest with you, from the time when he asked you who you wanted to be when you were younger and you came back with Whoopi Goldberg, he's beating you with that every week now.
Listen,
you boy, Angie, don't make him stir up nothing yet, because I didn't mention it, he did.
Listen,
he told me that every time she mentions Whoopi Goldberg, he's going to take a drink. And he's drank 3 times since the show started.
7 years old, you asked me all about 7 years. I didn't even know you could be somebody at 7 years old. So I had to wait till I get older and work out who I wanted to be. I wanted to be my friend.
That wasn't me. That was Eddie.
Okay. Can I
see you guys later?
No. Jay, stay there. Listen, I got to say thank you because I didn't get it, right? And our next story is a story I absolutely didn't get, and I resisted. But I did say, if the boss, Curtis, and Angie are saying to do something, then probably, just so that you don't get nagged, you better do it. So our next story is quite an interesting one. Here is a picture of the leading broadcaster of color, I think possibly that we've ever had. His name is Sir Trevor McDonald, and Trevor has obviously been just there for us to look at the same time as Moira. He's 81 years old. That's him picking up his knighthood, and that is his wife of 34 years. Thank you very much for the picture. Can I see Angie now, please? Angie, 34 years he's been married. Now, I didn't get it, and I apologize, but I do get it now. At 81, they have broken up because Sir Trevor has said that he wants to focus on his career. Curtis.
Yes.
Because there's so many areas that I could go to in this. I'm suggesting from one of my groups that that's a rubbish excuse. What's the worst excuse you've ever used for broken up with somebody?
I've always been dumped. I've always been the dumptee. I've never had the courage or the confidence to dump anybody. I've always been the one that's been dumped.
Really? Why would that be?
Why?
And I don't know why.
Why would anybody want to get rid of you?
I just want to. Now, you see, Trevor, we've had lockdown, 81-year-old man, and his wife is 65. Little young thing he had, younger. Yeah? Live the dream, Trev, live the dream. And he's now 81, and he realized he probably needs a younger wife still.
Yeah, the new model.
New model. Fix up. He's gone, he said, look, I'm Trevor McDonald. Black Lives Matter, man. I'm out of here.
Get my ears pierced, get a little tattoo, and I'm nice.
Pimp out the stand stair lift. That thing's going to start flying up the stairs now. I'm coming, baby. Woo, gone.
You know what?
You were all confused about the age and 81, but he's a fit 81. You understand what I mean? He's not. When you look at him moving and stuff, he's quite physically able, and she probably didn't think he'd last that long.
Yeah, but we don't know if he's physically able. We don't know his business like that.
No, I saw him 81. I saw him moving. I mean, he's not 81. He's 81 kind of brisk.
But behind closed doors, it might be just not a really. We don't know what the story is, but I would say this: at 81, it always feels like a surprise that you would wait that long to realize that something's not working. And coming out of lockdown will either make you stronger or divide you because you're concentrated in that environment. Some people are so glad to go to work because it's 8 hours of not being around that person. Oh, yeah. But when you've come together and you're sitting down together, you might start to see the things that you wouldn't ordinarily see. Now, at 81, my thing would be like, oh, okay, that's not work. This is a second marriage,
Yeah.
And it
apparently takes 3 or 4 to get it right, Angie.
Fourth one is the one. Fourth one is supposed to be the good one.
For Curtis, definitely.
He was married to Beryl first. Beryl.
But
that was his first wife's name.
The fact of the matter is
he went to Josephine.
Leave it alone and let
Next one's going to be Khadisha.
Let Angie talk. Sorry, Angie.
He didn't decide to just stay there and die. And if the relationship's not working, they both can still move on and find different partners, which I think is great, that people don't sit and I think is an example for a lot of people who are sitting down in relationships that are just not working, but they think they're too old to start again. They think it's over. And sometimes people just want their space. And also as well, when people go into a second marriage, they stay in it sometimes a little bit longer because they should not have left the first marriage.
Right.
But they want to prove that in this second marriage, it was worth leaving the first marriage for. Yeah. And so they overstay. And maybe he's saying, I don't have to stay. I like my space. I want to be by myself. I am Trevor McDonald and I've still got things to do. He's producing. Yeah. Look at Attenborough. How old is he? And still doing great work. So it's not over until it's over. So I salute him. Sadly, our marriage is broken up. But if he wants to be in that better space to do greater things, good for him. And
what work is he going to do?
He's got Tinder now as well. Tinder wasn't there when
he can write. He can write. He can produce. He's a speaker. He can do so many different things. There's so much to learn from him as well. He can end up being the leader of the Black Lives Matters campaign.
No. Yeah. What have you ever heard him say about anything like that?
He might start. It's not over.
You live in this.
This is Trevor McDonald. Black Lives Matter.
He could be head of diversity. He could start talking about things.
You see what happened when you start a Black Lives Matter campaign? It make even Trevor McDonald try to fix up his different life now. What the hell? It's too late, Trev. Let it go.
Yeah, he might want to go and burn down Babylon. We don't know.
Burn down Babylon. Oh, damn, I've got 3 houses in Babylon. No, I don't think...
I think there are a lot of people who were together and they had the kids and the kids go to university and they're back with that person.
They realize they don't really get on.
They realize that I don't like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angie, I mean, no, I'm not going to ask Angie because Angie will answer honestly. But Curtis, in the early days,
you might, I won't answer honestly.
No, I don't think you will.
Well, answer the question then.
Okay. In the early days, when you were checking a brother and you thought that the brother was, the one, he was going to be nice or whatever, and like you went somewhere where you had to spend time with him, like a holiday, and after 4 days, you realize he ain't got nothing to say. Did you ever have that?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Why not?
Angie?
Listen.
You got our attention.
The thing is, you can be with somebody and realize this ain't the right person because you think, okay, this ain't the one, and then you look over there and you think, oh, he's the one, and that what's so difficult about that? You go have a guy and you sit down and you think they're talking, you think to yourself, my God, you really are boring. I mean, really boring. There's nothing here, and then you
have you been talking to Lisa? Don't out their business, Angie.
I know.
Don't out their business. My God, you're boring. Lisa texts me that every day. Did you hear it today? I said, yes, baby, I hear you.
You're good looking. You drive a nice car. You've done all these things, but there's nothing more to you. And that's really everybody's experience when they realize this isn't the one. I'd like to move and find somebody that I actually can talk to, have friendship with, and know that when everything is done and dusted, we still could sit down and still want to be talking to each other.
I prefer a woman who doesn't talk too much.
No, of course you would prefer that type of woman.
I like that one. I like the one who ain't got nothing.
All the women that have left Curtis,
I like her.
They couldn't talk.
And they still left him.
Oh, you've got to watch. Look, you've got to watch. Yes, baby, I have a watch. Light watches. I like her.
No one knows what he's talking about.
When I'm going to leave him and let the silence take him. One of the things, seeing as we got into this one, before we get the boss back on, one of the things that always used to impact me when I used to go is that I only heard black women talk about if you don't need a man, if you're got the front door key, if you're whatever. And I realized that a lot of the places that in the old days that we used to meet people and date were places where you didn't actually speak. So cinema, loud bar, club, and that. So actually talking wasn't a thing. And so when you have those conversations, I wonder how it is. Angie, were you the one who said, I don't need no man, I've got my own front door? That was you, wasn't it? You and your crowd.
Yeah, it was
and not for you, but for the rest of them, they're still saying that on their own.
Yeah, a lot of them.
No, let's stop doing that.
And Angie damaged a lot of women in the early days.
Listen. I empowered and spoke up.
Oh yeah, sorry, empowered.
They're on their own, and you got your husband.
Did you ask me a question? I don't know.
Sorry.
Okay, so in the days of the 80s and 90s, we found our voices. When we were growing up, we were told, don't air your story outside. Keep your business to yourself. So we were taught not to talk. And then we were able to talk and felt comfortable talking so that we could start sharing. I don't think anything's wrong with that. So somebody could say, look, you're going through this thing in your relationship. Guess what? You don't have to do that. You don't have to accept that. So why don't you try for a better life or try to move forward? Why don't you try and buy your own house? Why don't you try and buy your own car?
And what do you say to her now, Angie, 30 years later, and she's single?
If she's single, it's by choice. We just talk about Trevor McDonald. Some women are single by choice because guess what? Some of them do not want to be in a place where they are settling for something that they don't want. Because a lot of older generation, they settled and they did things to make everything work. Now we've got choice. Some people do regret that they've made some choices, or maybe they've judged somebody too harshly, like the guy who, you got to have a JLB if you want to be with me, all that rubbish. And then you meet a guy who is unemployed today, but tomorrow is working. A guy who's emptying the rubbish bin. A guy who's driving a bus. Some people judge them too harshly. I don't understand why. Because these are people who are hardworking. Just because they're not doing the type of jobs that you can show off and say, oh, guess what my man does? He does this. No, he's a hardworking man and he comes home and he wants to be with me. That's what you want. And that's the message that should have gone back as well. Why some people may be single, because maybe they hung their baskets to a place that wasn't realistic, and that sometimes that you meet a guy and they're not staying there. But what you have is the power to encourage them to move forward, as so a man can do with his woman. That's what we haven't been taught a lot of. How do we come together and build so that we can be together? Judge not the job, because you know what? When you want somebody to make you a cup of tea at 80, maybe, Trevor, that's the wrong time to leave.
But you see, as soon as Trevor wasn't working, she kicked him out. It's over.
Right.
She didn't kick him out.
She didn't.
Stop making up
He's got a bachelor pad now.
Yeah,
I saw him. He had a little black plastic bag on his back.
You're going to get in trouble, you know that.
We are going to get in a lot of trouble.
But amicably. We're funning and joking, but it's all amicable, and they're grown people. They've made a decision. Like Lisa says about Eddie, you bore me, and they've made a decision, and they've gone separate ways.
So I'm going to ignore you because you're a fool, right? Next week,
I can confirm.
I can concur.
Next week, we've got a couple.
And your beard looks fantastic, Eddie.
There's a couple of subjects that we really want to do. We're going to work out which one, because I don't think we can do both in the same show.
What's the time?
So let's come into it. Wills or cancer? We're coming to a point where so many black people in I think October, November, there's this thing called Will Aid, and it helps people. And I've got to tell you, having a conversation about with your parents about making a will is not fun. It's not why you want my money. You think you're going to get my money. So those types of conversations. But also, cancer affects 1 in 2 of us, and there's a particular cancer that is impacting on a lot of guys right now. It's presenting really late. Because we don't want to test. I know, Curtis, I was researching you, and I forgot you did all that work with prostate cancer and the like. So, look, I mean, we'll do one of those 2 next week. So you tell us, if you're watching at home, tell us which one of those you want us to do, and I promise you we'll do it as diligently. If we have to get somebody on to talk about it, it's really, really important. That said, let's get the boss on, shall we? Boss lady.
Hello.
Hey, are you warm?
I am warm. I've secretly put the heating on. Don't tell Eddie though. Comments coming in. Sarah says, when this is regarding the COVID conspiracy, when this is all over and we get some of our rights back, we'll be so pleased we won't notice the ones we've lost. Min Joshua said COVID is a strategic move to input fear and control while they implement their plans. Angela says it's worrying that people don't believe this. Try explaining that to someone whose loved one has passed away. With regards to Trevor McDonald, lots of funny comments coming there. Denise Francis says Trevor has an ex-woman. Patricia Wilmington says she couldn't knead the roti. People are saying he wants his rice and peas. And Cindy Diller has said 81 is the new 51. Many funny confidence. They like that story. Most of them are saying, where is he going at 81?
Boss lady, before you carry on, I can see the screen here. It looks as though Wills is winning hands down, doesn't it? In terms of, I'm just looking at the number of people who are saying Wills.
A few Wills are coming in. Yes.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions for you guys, though, if you want me to read them.
Go for it.
Yep. Okay, one for you, Curtis. How are you looking after yourself in lockdown?
Well, that's the same thing. I'm doing a lot more drinking water every day. And like you know, we go in the park pretty much every day. Yesterday, had a brisk walk through Hampstead Heath. My God, that's a big piece of land and very hilly. So I went on a kind of keep fit thing, marching through Hampstead Heath with the dog. That was great.
And following my page on Instagram, I can see.
And following you on Instagram is helping me a lot. Although I'm not regimented on it, I'm dipping in and out in between the drink and the chocolate.
Excellent. Thank you. Angie, John Williams has said, do you think Daniel Cameron and Candice Owens and the likes are sellouts to the black community?
Yes, I think so. It's deliberately for that, because they are taking this voice, this deliberately strong voice against us. And every time we see that in the community, we use the word coon and we use the word coonery behavior, and it's the absolute correct word to use, because it's so disappointing that in times of a fight, we have somebody going against us who really wants to please the other side, just to make sure that they are allowed and invited into that world. They're making sure that how can I say, they're disingenuous to us. And that's the word that makes me feel like I can't understand why they can't understand our plight and why they think that what they do is helping our cause. Because when they turn up black. And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in them type of people then.
Thank you. And Eddie, I've got 2 quick questions for you. Most people have got the heating on. They've said, why aren't you allowing me to have the heating on? And the second question is, where's the real Eddie?
Well, I've got fed up with being mixed with Peter from Housewives of Atlanta. It just got on my nerves.
Beefy Whited.
just there. And listen, this is autumn. This is a wonderful autumnal day where people like Curtis take brisk walks in the park. I think people should put their coats, jumpers on. And what it is not winter. When the winter hit you, what are you going to do if you kind of jump the gun now? So just put on some clothes, put your socks, put your clothes on in the house, and then everything is nice. I'm not mean. I'm just careful and loving.
Women don't want to wear cardigans in their house. Nobody wants to wear cardigans and coats in their house.
Well, my mum's doing crochet and she's loving it, keeping her really fit. I said to her when she first arrived, and she wanted the heating on all the time during the summer. She kept saying how cold it was. I said, you got a choice. You can have it on now or have it on in the winter. She chose to have it on when she just landed. Good luck to her. Here we go. Cardigans galore. She's crocheting. Anybody need a jumper, cardigan? I'm the man.
Okay, rude.
But just finally, Eddie, sorry, just talking about the cold. Maria said the weather's getting cold. Time for the hashtag no joke sweatshirts.
All right. And I've got
I
them.
thought that was a good one.
Oh, it's lovely. Listen,
Thank
you
you
very much.
Thank you.
Lady.
Have a lovely week ahead. Bye bye.
Make sure you let us know in the message box there whether
I will
it's
do.
Wills or
I will
cancellation. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye bye.
Put the gloves
Thank you,
back.
Lisa. Bye, boss.
Put the gloves back on. Right. So look, isn't it fabulous to see all those people with the t-shirts, guys? It's just
fantastic. Wow. And it's a sense of community because people are stopping me on road with it. It's really nice, Eddie. I didn't know, boy. That's a beautiful, beautiful bringing together of people.
So look, I want to put a picture up now. This is a lady that, if you don't know her, you should know her. She is a Dominican, but hails from Bradford, and I only got it this morning, so we thought we'd give it a special mention. So let's get Trish Cook's picture up.
Trish,
so that's Trish with her grandchildren there, and what I mean. By the way, first of all, if you've got kids right now, go and check out Trisha's books. Absolutely fabulous. My kids read them, and they, wonderful books, illustrated beautifully.
I did one of her plays as well, Running Dreams.
Oh, excellent. And she writes pantos as well. So look, we're big fans, and to see that she's watching it and she not just got one, but got it for the whole family. Thank you. Thank you very much, Trish.
Thank you, Trish.
Really recognize that. So a couple of quick ones. Over 1,900 people, Curtis Walker, have complained to Ofcom. What have they complained about? Let's get a picture up. We're moving with pictures right now. Alicia Dixon, Black Lives Matter.
Oh my God, what is she thinking?
Why would she do that?
Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
I mean, do you think that people ain't got anything to do, Kurt? What's going on?
Yes, I do. I think people are very, like we said last week, they're afraid. There's an energy, there's a momentum building, and they're afraid. Like the Americans say, they're very afraid. Ain't you afraid? Ain't you scared? And they're afraid. And it's power to, because I know that the kind of solidarity that she's showing, and with Black Lives Matter, and to her the dance troupe, diversity. She's showing, I've got your back. I've got your back. And this is something that Black celebrities were always afraid to do, because there would be one Black celebrity, one Black person who stood up out of the bunch. And when they look back, looking for a little support from their Black colleagues, hello, what? You're left alone and the wind blowing around your bottom. Yeah. It's beautiful what she's done, empowering to everybody. And thank you. Thank you. And let us all think of that as a positive move.
Can I just also add that when we think about people like Alicia and the team diversity, they say they see their father in George Floyd. You know, this isn't just celebrities and people who think that, oh, it'd be nice to jump on. They see their fathers, they see their partners, they see their family. You know, you don't get the celebrities just because they're black and they're over there and they don't have to say anything. And this is a time where they're speaking up. So hopefully we'll see Andy Peters with a Black Lives Matter t-shirt.
Never gonna happen. Never.
I mean,
not Andy. Don't do it. If you tell Andy Peters he's black, you will scare him. He will have a heart attack.
Well, didn't you see him arguing with my boy the other day? He properly laid it down on him about being black. He said, "Look in the studio, I'm the only black person here."
Oh, really?
Yeah. He laid that down. So
don't go too far, Andy. Careful.
If you look back, and it might be another of those books that you and I have stolen from John Summit about Muhammad Ali, when he refused to go and fight for the Americans in Vietnam. All the big superstars, you had Jim Brown and people like that. They had a meeting, and they had a meeting. Said, "Well, what go on for you?" And he explained to them, and they all backed him. I didn't know that till recently, actually, and that's a good thing. So I want to end on this one, right? Because this is a great one. So,
need more of that, Eddie. More of that, because times are going to get very difficult for some of them out there. Some of them big time celebrities, and they've got to pick. Unfortunately, you got to pick a lane now. You can't be playing this game.
John Boyega's the one that I'm just hoping that, he's got his ducks in a row, because he's the youngest, most high profile, most prominent, and he's the one that shouted the loudest. But we'll see.
Has Ainsley Harriott said anything yet?
What is the matter with you, Kurt?
I'm asking. I just want to know who's doing what.
Okay.
So look, right. So I need people to quickly, I know we're near the end, but quickly tell me, what's the market that you used to go to? What's the market that your mum used to take? Because I'm getting some stick from my mum here. Now, Elephant and Castle closed its doors on Friday for the last time. 50 years. Elephant. It just made me think,
we don't have market. Elephant and Castle is a big shopping centre in South London. It's old. You got to tell, because you're talking like everybody knows it, Elephant and Castle.
I'm talking like I don't want anybody to know it. Sorry.
Go, please continue.
Please, Curse.
Yeah, so it was struggling anyway. So I hear what you say about 50 years, but people weren't really utilising it properly. Very ugly building, very ugly place to be. I lived very close to it, didn't shop there at all, unless I'd forgotten something last minute and it had to be as cheap. If I was getting you a birthday present, I would go Elephant and Castle again. It was that kind of place.
Deptford Market, Angie, that's yours, isn't it?
Deptford Market, Lucia Market was mine. A trolley, walking, cold.
How old were you then, Angie? Was Whoopi Goldberg with you?
Okay, what to say when you're interrupted by a twit? Anyway, Deptford Market, Lucia Market, Black Market, it was always about the trolley and the bags and being cold. That's my memories of shopping with my mum and her chatting with people and me looking at her thinking, it's cold. Why are we not hurrying up? Come on, sister. Let's go home.
Want to go Brixton Market, Curtis. That's yours, isn't it?
Yeah, that's mine. The trolley, of course, I was the official trolley puller. And I've always maintained if we let our children pull a trolley today, it would really center them. Because you can't look cool, trendy, hip, pulling a trolley full of banana, yam, breadfruit. You cannot look cool doing it, and I tried. Okay, my mum used to travel all round South, so we even went up your Petticoat Lane, Lane, Ridley Road, East Street. East Street, yeah. So East Street was on a Sunday. We used to go East Street, and we would always be promised a Wimpy. How's that? A Wimpy.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Wimpy burger.
My mum
good time.
Did you ever get to Roman Road? Did you do?
Yes,
Roman
that's
Road?
what you did with your friends. Yeah.
Catalog. Get the catalog clothes at Ridley Road. Well, look, I'm just those kids. All they know about now is supermarket.
Did you ever go shopping with your mother, Eddie? Because there were stories that you used to just sit down in the house.
No, I went and my mum stopped and talked to every single person in the market, no matter if it was raining,
that's your auntie.
Whatever.
No blood relation. That's your auntie.
That's right. Auntie whoever and auntie. I'm fed up of aunties. I don't want any. I don't want any more aunties. These kids don't know how blessed they were, and there wasn't such a thing as a cab. You had to get on the bus to get home and carry the shopping. My arms are very long now from that. Not as long as Curtis's though. His knuckles scrape on the floor as he walks along. We know that about. Listen, I love you, both.
Since you dyed your beard, you've changed.
Eddie, can I just say, the book. This is my book here. Somebody has ordered the book and they've not sent me the address. I think her name is Pauline Roach. Pauline, please, can you send me your details so that I can send you the book? Okay. So,
Eddie,
Angie Lamar.
The DVD.
.com.
The DVD. Somebody's ordered the DVD and hasn't paid for it.
Yeah, you should put a payment thing on your website. So, AngieLamar.com. Signed copies. Thank you.
You look lovely in your t-shirt, Angie.
That was blatant, Angie.
I think there was nothing subtle about that.
No, why should it be? Why should it be?
Well, listen, two more to go, and then we're going to take a little break just so that we can get ready to come again, to refocus. I haven't seen it on the screen, but I'm guessing from what I saw when I had a quick look that we will find a way to do wills. Power of attorney, all sorts. It's a very complicated little world, but it's really important. And sadly, I've seen enough families torn apart by not having it. Sisters and brothers who never speak to each other again. So we will give that some time next week. But please continue to give us ideas of what you think we should be talking about. Angie and Curtis, I think you were, we couldn't find anybody else this week, and for replacements, you both done incredibly well.
See you.
Have a good one. God bless you both.
God bless you. Take care,
stay safe. So let me just say thank you for watching, thank you for listening, thank you for getting involved. Angie and I do it. Curtis doesn't because he can't, but we watch the program straight after it finishes. So all those comments, suggestions, ideas are really, really well received. Thanks for all the people behind the scenes who help give advice. Cedric, I have to say thank you to you. I haven't phoned you back yet, but boy, that's a lovely email you've sent. And also, John, I'm looking at what you're doing too. So thank you very much to Alison Bajakin, particularly to the boss and God Spare Our Life. We will be back here. Make sure you check out our mastermind. He'll be playing music from 4 p.m. on his website, on his page. Look after yourself. Have a great weekend and a great week, and look after each other. Yeah, take it easy. Bye-bye.